cool friends, once they feel safe, once they know that I don't need anything from you, I just want to have a conversation. And all the people on my podcast are my friends. And guess what? They all give advice to my kids by name.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Love Gangster. I'm your host, Adrian Boysel, and today I have a great interview with a really great guest, someone that I've been really learning from and getting inspired by. The last two Secret Knock events, he's the host of this event. So with all being said, Mr. Kelly Cardenas.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Hey, what you guys are doing with Video Vault is phenomenal, man. And I just want to congratulate you.
I appreciate it, man. It's been really cool to hear your story. The Tweety Bird thing, I still can't get that out of my head. That was the funniest thing.
Did you get it on video?
I think we
Can
probably
I get it. I don't think I
That
have.
was one of the greatest setups that you've ever done, dude. That was absolute pure gold in San Diego. So you guys have done that. We'll have to probably put a clip onto the add onto this video or something because it was just pure genius. But tell me about your background, because your personal life, I heard a little bit of that in the last event, at this event, but kind of your journey of entrepreneur and all the way to what you're doing now is hosting events and doing the vibe and all that.
It was all out of desperation, man. My dad bought dog clippers when I was a kid, and then we cut our each other's hair. It took me to into the professional beauty industry,
Oh, wow.
owning salons all over the country. We got to a point I was speaking simultaneously during that time, and for 30 years. And so I was a overnight success in 30 years.
Yeah, exactly.
43 weekends a year for 30 years out on the road. And my wife had me on a dog walk, and she said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "Oh, I just want to focus on speaking, and I want to start a podcast." And she said, "Well, how much money we got? What's our burn rate?" I told her. She said, "Let's go." And we sold the company, and now this is what I do, man.
Smart lady. Who did she learn that all from?
Oh, man, she's a genius, man. She's an absolute incredible entrepreneur.
Amazing.
And my pops raised me on that there was only one business, right? Only one business in the world, and it was people. You take them out, you have no business.
Yep,
And there was one word that powered it all, and it was just the vibe. It wasn't the energy we brought into the room.
that's right.
It was just the way that people felt when we left,
100%.
that lingering feeling.
That's so good. So why speaking?
I wanted to share, because I was scared of it. I couldn't speak well. I stuttered in front of people, and I freaked out.
Yeah.
So I went towards that one thing that was scared the hell out of me. And I went to schools every Thursday, and I would just volunteer my time and almost pee my pants every
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
And I just kept doing it. And then
Wow.
a person pulled me aside, and they said, "You're natural at this." And I was like, "Well, if doing it for 30 years makes me natural, I'm natural at it,
I guess
right?"
I'm naturally
No,
trained.
you just had to go. You had to
That's
do it.
awesome. Yes, but I wouldn't say I was afraid of public speaking, but public speaking was definitely something that like really pushed me to the edge, because I'm extroverted, but I'm also very introverted. I'm
Okay.
kind of like that middle of the road. And so I have learned to become extroverted, where naturally I get off the stage, I'm like, I just want to go hide in a hole now and just fill myself back up, right? When I have to have like a line full of people that are like, "Oh, let me ask you more questions." I'm like, "Oh, I already left everything on the stage."
Do you
know?
find that you're more comfortable, though, when you're around and in an audience of people who you actually know?
To an extent, yeah. Like I am most comfortable in conversations like this, like
Got it.
hosting podcasts, YouTube videos and one-on-one conversations.
Yeah.
On stage, I like that too, but I feel like this is where my natural state, like I'm so curious. Like I want to know like what inspired the dreads? Why the blue beanie? Those are the questions that are coming to my mind all the time. So it just makes me naturally a great interviewer. And that's how I connect with Brian Gallinger, how we built our relationship at the City Gala City Summit. And he saw my interviews with Richard Dreyfuss. And that's this kind of the spark of it all. And I was like, well, I want to do more than just interviews. I got to get on stage and learn how to become a speaker. And, I'm inspired by the Les Browns and the, not as much Tony Robbins, but Les Brown was really just the heart and character of the kind of person that I love, just a man of God, a man after God.
Yeah.
So live full, die empty. And so the way he speaks is really almost like a performance. And I was like, I want to learn that. Even though I'm super authentic and I'm myself, I want to learn how to become that performer too, at the same time, where I could just really leave people with the vibe,
There
right?
we go.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So very cool. So fashion into public speaking and now the podcast. What else do you have going on outside of this?
So those, and then we have the Vibe Room, which is a live version of the podcast, because everyone kept asking, like I was going after iconic people that I saw as iconic. So, I'm a huge Tennessee Titans and Oilers fan. So I went and got Eddie George, and people were like, "How'd you get Eddie George?" I messaged him for 3.5 years, and I wore him down. I got the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, John Gordon. And I just have really, really cool friends. And the cool friends, once they feel safe,
Yeah.
once they know that I don't need anything from you,
Yeah.
just want to have a conversation. And all the people on my podcast are my friends. And guess what? They all give advice to my kids by name. So Brad Johnson, who won the Super Bowl for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, plays quarterback. My son's a quarterback. He's 12.
Wow.
Brad Johnson said at the end of the podcast, Maddox, as a quarterback, I would do this. Larry Kasanoff, producer of True Lies, Terminator 2,
Oh yeah.
gave advice to my actress daughter about what she should do in the industry. By name, McKenna, you should do this.
Incredible.
And so that part for me was wild. And then we just expanded the shows because I didn't want to have to wait just on guests. So I took, I take Proverbs, and I take, there's 31 Proverbs in the, you're right. 31 Proverbs in the book, 31 days in a month. I do the corresponding proverb, corresponding day, and I do it 10, 15 minutes. But what it teaches me is every day I get to do a TED Talk. So I'm translating 3,000-year-old wisdom.
Right.
You saw it. Did you see how it happened today?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And it was like, you saw the setup.
It shifts.
But you saw the setup.
Of course.
And then you saw because sometimes if you lead with that, I have what I call inch stones, not the milestones, just the inch stones that you've focused in on. And then I have a show that's called You Have to Meet My Friends, where I go live and I call my friends randomly out of my phone, and they have no idea they're on the podcast until they're on the podcast. So it's awesome.
So what would you say is your superpower?
Finding out what other people are great at and allowing them to do it
Oh, I like
at
that.
the highest level.
That's a big one. Some of the people that I've worked for in the past, the most talented ones and that had the most success, that was their superpower as well. Mine is definitely enthusiasm. It's something I discovered when I met Brian, was our video guy. He's like, you know what your superpower is? I was like, well, he's like, enthusiasm. I'm like, I never realized that something like that is so simple could be a superpower, but I have this ability to walk into the room and just make people feel excited and encouraged. And that's really what I want to do. And it's very easy, right? The bar is pretty low of just showing up and being me. I don't have to do anything crazy or be the high performance guy. I just come in and be the enthusiastic version of myself. So every episode that I do, I like to encourage people and challenge people.
Yeah.
So what's a good challenge? Maybe it's the proverb challenge that's someone you can give to somebody today that they can go help somebody else's life become better.
Well, I think that it was one where during the pandemic, my daughter had a really tough time. And, she was around 12 years old, and, she was in her room a lot, and she just got down. And she said some things that were very alarming to a dad.
Yeah.
And at that time, I realized that I wasn't taking enough time to let her know just how much I loved her, even though I was saying it. So I took the time, and for 2.5 years, every single day, I'd write her a letter. And I just wrote her a letter about what she did the day before that really inspired me. And some days it would be 2 sentences, some days it would be a paragraph, and some days it would be a full page. And I did this, and on Saturday, I would give her the 7 letters. I'd give her the notebook, 7 letters. Whether she read it or not, we still don't know. But then she'd give it back to me, and then I'd write her another 7 letters. If you can stop right now, every single person that's listening to the podcast, if you can just stop right now, and not on your phone, not through email, but physically, analog, write a letter to someone who you love, but it has to be specific, because if not, they'll sniff it out.
That's right.
If you do that, that will change relationships. My daughter now, she's out of that darkness. And I don't say I take the credit. It's just because she needed to know that part of it.
100%.
And so that really, honestly, it ends up shifting, for lack of a better word, it shifts the vibe, right? The way that person feels. And so I would suggest that. And that's, I've been very fortunate because now when my kids, I say, I got to go to work this weekend.
Yep.
Daddy, what do you do? I'm going in to talk to people about the vibe of what they're doing. And they're like, you get paid to yes, Daddy gets paid to
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is I'm a girl dad too. My daughter's only 5, but I've spent her whole life so far being extremely intentional, more than any relationship, maybe even a little bit more than my wife, of just being super present with her and making sure I'm spending 15 to 30 minutes every single day, just uninterrupted, no noise, no distractions, and all that. And I saw a TV show the other day that was really impactful for the future of what I see. And this girl was saying, she was like Indian, Pakistani descent. And she's like, right now, my king is my father. And I could tell that the relationship, just by those words, how deep her connection was, right? The connection is what's so important with our children. But until I get married, he stays my king until someone takes that seat. My new husband will become my king. And I was just introspectively sitting with that. And I was like, wow, what a deep thing for a daughter to revere her father in the sense of a king, and to have that kind of trust and connection with him. So that's really powerful. And I think that's what you did for your daughters. You showed her the man that someday when she gets married, you're setting the bar, right? And so that's what we're doing for our daughters, is setting the bar for what a king needs to come in to do
Absolutely.
and what they're going to expect. So we're setting that bar pretty damn high.
Well, I would just be conscious if you have multiple kids, because once I did it, then I started feeling bad about my son. So I started writing a letter to my son every day.
There you
And then I was like, well, I need to write one for my wife.
Yeah.
But literally, I've timed it.
Yeah.
It literally takes you 3 to 4 minutes to write a letter. And every guy that's in my men's group,
Yeah.
I've challenged them to do this. And every one of the wives has framed the letter. Now, the guys, I tell them every day, write a letter to your wife. Tell her all the great things that you're doing.
Yep.
And they don't. They just do one.
That's right.
They do one, and their wife frames it and puts it up on the wall. But when you start speaking life into people specifically,
That's it.
use their name, something specific, I tell you, relationships go through the roof.
Man, so that's your challenge. You heard it from him. Go out there and write the letter. Get it done. Report back to us. We want to hear about it. Post a video. Send a message to him, myself. Write a comment down below. Or you be swimming with the fishes, capiche? All right, that's the episode. Love Gangster. Dude, Kelly, thank you so much.
You're awesome.
We'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Adrian Boysel, and as always, keep looking up.
Came here to fill the void. I am love. I am peace. I am joy that can never be destroyed. I am